How to replicate this success, Mom's home food business, step-by-step case study. The flour dust caught the morning light like tiny stars across her countertop. Sarah wiped her hands on her apron and stared at the mixing bowl, wondering if this was courage or just another way to avoid the real question. Could she really turn her grandmother's recipes into something more than Sunday dinners? She wasn't dreaming of empire. She was dreaming of choice. The kind that doesn't require asking permission to contribute. The kind that fits between bedtime stories and grocery runs. For 3 years, she'd watched other mums launch businesses online while she scrolled during stolen moments of quiet. Part of her felt guilty even wanting it, as if motherhood meant putting every other version of yourself on hold indefinitely. But the idea didn't come from a business book. It came from the compliments she'd stopped believing. Every birthday party, every school event, someone would ask about her cinnamon rolls. "You should sell these," they'd say. And she'd laugh it off, thinking success was for people with credentials, capital, and child-free hours. Maybe success just wasn't meant for someone like her. Then one Tuesday, her daughter asked a simple question that changed everything. "Mom, why do you make things for everyone else but never for you?" She didn't have an answer, at least not one that felt true anymore. That night, after the kids were asleep, Sarah did something she'd been avoiding for months. She sat down and actually calculated the numbers. Not dreams, not maybes, just honest math. If she could sell 20 orders a week at $30 each, that's $600. Not life-changing money, but enough to feel like hers. The doubt came in waves. What if nobody bought? What if she failed in front of everyone who knew her? What if she was just another mum with unrealistic expectations? But here's what she didn't know yet. According to recent data, women-owned home food businesses have grown by nearly 40% in the last 5 years. Most started exactly where she was, in a regular kitchen, with regular doubts. She took a breath and chose to start invisible. No announcements, no grand launch, just a simple post in a local community group with a photo of her cinnamon rolls and a question. Would anyone be interested in ordering these for pickup this weekend? She almost deleted it 3 times before hitting send. What would you have done in her place? Within 2 hours, she had 15 messages. By evening, she'd taken orders for 30 rolls. Her hands shook as she wrote down names and pickup times. This was real, terrifyingly, beautifully real. That Friday night became her first production marathon. She worked after the kids went to bed, setting timers between dough rises, learning how much her home oven could actually handle. She burned 1 batch, forgot to label another, nearly ran out of cinnamon. But when Saturday morning came and the first customer arrived, something shifted. The woman smiled so genuinely and said, "My daughter's going to love these for her birthday." Sarah realized she wasn't just selling food. She was giving people moments they'd remember. She smiled, not because it was easy, but because it was finally hers. The second week, she raised her prices by $5, not out of greed, but because she'd undervalued the 3 hours each batch actually took. 1 person complained, 23 others ordered anyway. That's when she learned the first real lesson of running a food business from home. Your time has to be part of the recipe. If you price like you're apologizing, you'll resent every order that comes in. She started documenting everything, not for social media, for herself. How long each step took, which recipes traveled well, what people asked for most. The data became her teacher. Then came the doubt, the kind that whispers louder than failure. Her mother-in-law made a comment about playing business instead of focusing on the house. A friend suggested she was being selfish. Even her own mind tried to convince her this was temporary insanity dressed up as ambition. Sometimes growth doesn't look like progress. It looks like staying when everything tells you to stop. But orders kept coming. She created a simple system using a free scheduling tool and a shared spreadsheet. Nothing fancy, just organized enough to prevent chaos. Her kitchen counter became a workspace she could set up and break down in 20 minutes. By month 3, she was making consistent income. Not huge, around $800 monthly. But it was hers, earned in hours she carved from the margins of her life. People started asking her secret. She'd laugh because there was no secret. Just repetition, adjustment, and refusing to quit on the weeks when only 2 orders came in. The breakthrough came from an unexpected place. A customer asked if she did custom celebration boxes. Sarah almost said no. She didn't have special packaging, didn't have a commercial kitchen, didn't have any of the things she thought she needed. Instead, she said, "Tell me what you're celebrating and I'll create something." That one yes opened a door she didn't know existed. Custom orders became her signature. Higher prices, deeper meaning, less competition. Her workspace was still her kitchen counter, but it no longer felt like chaos, it felt like possibility. She learned to work in batches that matched her energy, not the internet's advice. Some weeks she'd prep ingredients on Monday for weekend orders. Other weeks, she'd only take 5 orders total. She gave herself permission to build something sustainable instead of burning out trying to look successful. What helped her most wasn't just the small business toolkit she eventually invested in. It was realizing she didn't need permission to start small. She tested a few resources before finding what truly worked. A simple food-safe label printer changed her entire presentation. A scheduling app saved her from the mental chaos of direct messages. This isn't a promotion, just tools that made the path a little lighter. She'll leave links below if you want to explore them. By month 6, something unexpected happened. She stopped checking her phone every 5 minutes for new orders, not because business slowed down, but because she'd built something that didn't require constant panic to sustain. She'd created boundaries, order windows, blackout dates, a maximum capacity that protected her sanity. The business became part of her life instead of consuming it. Other moms started reaching out asking how she did it. She'd share honestly. The mistakes, the burned batches, the weeks she wanted to quit, the anxiety of running a business from the same place her kids did homework. She told them the truth nobody posts about. Some months were great, some barely broke even. Success wasn't a straight line. It was showing up even when the results felt small. One woman told her, "You made me believe I could start too." That sentence meant more than any 5-star review. The business evolved. She added seasonal items, raised prices again, created a simple website using a free template, learned basic food photography with her phone and natural light. Each step felt impossible until she actually did it. She made mistakes constantly, overcommitted during holidays, underestimated prep time, forgot ingredients, burned out twice. But she didn't quit. She adjusted. The real transformation wasn't in her bank account. It was in the way she saw herself. She stopped introducing herself as just a stay-at-home mom and started saying, "I run a home bakery," without apologizing. Her daughter watched all of it, watched her mom create something from nothing, watched her fail and keep going, watched her turn their ordinary kitchen into a place where ideas became income. That's the legacy nobody talks about. Not the money, the modeling. When she poured her coffee the next morning, it was still hot. Because this time she wasn't rushing through her own life. She was building it. One batch, one order, one small, brave decision at a time. Her story isn't unique. It's universal. Thousands of women are standing where she stood, staring at their own version of flour dust and wondering if they're allowed to want more. The answer is yes. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need to have it all figured out before you start. You just need to start. Messy, imperfect, real. This is educational and inspirational content, not financial advice. Every business is different, every path is personal, but the principle remains. Small steps, taken consistently, create distance you can't imagine from where you're standing now. Tell us what part of her story resonated with you most and where you're watching from. Your journey might just inspire the next one. Tell us which country or city you're watching from. See you in the next video. Bye.